Captain Marvel, the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has finally smashed into cinemas worldwide, and just with all great Marvel movies, closes out with a number of post-credit scenes. In this video, I'll break down Captain Marvel's 2 credit scenes and explain what they mean going into Avengers Endgame and for the future of the franchise. Of course, it goes without saying that this video contains major spoilers for Captain Marvel, as well as some personal speculation and theories for Endgame. So if you don't want any of that, turn this video off now, you've been warned. Our first post-credit scene is the most important of the two, providing us a direct link between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and helping us establish exactly how Captain Marvel fits into the grander world of the MCU. And of course, it all revolves around that little pager that Nick Fury has seen within Infinity War's own post-credit scene. Of course, during the events of the Captain Marvel film set in the 1990s, Fury gives the pager to Carol Danvers during a mission as a way for her to keep in touch with him. By film's end, she gives the pager back to him with a few upgrades and explains that it should now have a range of at least a couple of galaxies and can be used to call on her if he ever needs her help, but explicitly states that it is to be used for emergencies only. Flash forward roughly 23 years to the end of Infinity War, when Fury uses the pager to contact Danvers after Thanos' snap has set forth the decimation event, before Fury unfortunately falls victim himself. Since Infinity War released, and I guess since Captain Marvel was announced as a prequel, fans have speculated why Fury hasn't mentioned or contacted Danvers earlier, especially in emergency events such as the battles of New York and Sokovia. I mean, surely these 2 events were big enough emergencies to warrant calling on the woman who's been called the most powerful hero in the entire MCU. Well, a recent Captain Marvel Prelude comic puts a little bit of this to rest, showing these specific events through the eyes of Fury and featuring a couple of moments where he hesitates calling on Danvers, believing that the Avengers are capable enough all on their own. After all, as the movie shows, Danvers does have more important things to tend to in other galaxies. This now takes us into our first credit scene of Captain Marvel, and likely a scene ripped directly from Avengers Endgame. Soon after Fury's attempt to contact Danvers at the end of Infinity War, the pager is seen at the Avengers compound in a display being studied by our heroes. It's emitting a frequent signal, we assume since Fury triggered it, and suddenly it stops. Rhodey bursts in on Steve and Natasha looking over the statistics of the casualties from the decimation and exclaims that that thing has stopped doing whatever the hell it's been doing. Immediately, the 3 plus Bruce Banner crowd around the device in a state of shock. Banner mentions that whatever signal it was sending has finally ceased, and Steve finds this to be quite perplexing given that they managed to bypass the device's battery and demands for it to be rebooted so it can continue running its course. Banner shows a little trepidation, noting that they don't even know what the device is, but Natasha notes that Fury did, and trusting his judgment is adamant that it be turned back on, requesting to be told the moment it receives a signal and to be informed who is on the other end. And she turns around to leave the room, she is stopped directly in her path by Danvers, who asks in terror, "Where's Fury?" As the intense music swells, a title card appears reading, "Captain Marvel will return in Avengers Endgame." It's very exciting to see Danvers thrown in with the Avengers already, and this scene could even explain just how big her role in Endgame will be. Judging by the fact that Steve has the beard that he is seen with in Infinity War in this scene, it tells us that it's likely happening pretty close to the beginning of Endgame, given that we've seen him without a beard in the recent trailers. And especially as both he and Natasha are still assessing the ramifications of the decimation at the beginning of this scene, it's likely that it is happening not long after the battle with Thanos. From this, we can assume that Captain Marvel is actually going to have quite a substantial role in Endgame. She'll appear at the beginning and likely be there every step of the way to assist the Avengers in their plight to retrieve their friends and defeat Thanos for good. And what I absolutely love about this is that it completely debunks those ridiculous rumors that swirled during this week from the fandom menace, claiming that Marvel was worried about the reaction to Captain Marvel so much that they had decided to cut her out of Endgame altogether. I mean, come on. Seriously. But look, putting that aside, it will be interesting to see how Danvers' powers have progressed in the 23 odd years that separate both Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame, and given that we now know that her powers have in part come from the Tesseract, I'm keen to see how those powers will react when they come in contact with the Infinity Stones. There have been rumours swirling around about Danvers' ability to time travel, but there's been no solid evidence of this just yet from the Captain Marvel movie anyway, and I doubt that the Space Stone will give her that ability ability, given that we do have another Infinity Stone for that. My guess is Danvers will instead have the ability to assist the Avengers to easily and seamlessly move through dimensions and galaxies, and combined with Ant-Man's abilities to move through micro realms, I think they're shaping up to be a pretty unstoppable team, and I think we're bound for some pretty awesome sequences. What will also be interesting will be how Danvers integrates with the Avengers team, who obviously have no idea who she is, given the fact that they don't recognize her insignia on the pager or her when she shows up. It's a little odd that Fury never would have mentioned her, especially given she is the entire inspiration behind the Avenger initiative in the first place, but I guess Danvers is a secret that Fury just wanted to hold close to the chest. Also worth noting is that Danvers doesn't recognize the Avengers either. It's quite obvious that Fury has stuck to his word and never contacted her outside of an emergency, and likewise it seems that these huge earthbound events involving the Avengers haven't exactly been all that important or newsworthy in outer galaxies. What I'm most interested to know is whether Danvers has any knowledge of Thanos the Mad Titan. It's likely she does given her involvement with the Kree race, but what kind of personal connection she has with him will be certainly interesting to explore. And that brings us to our second post-credit scene, which sees Goose revealed to be a Flurkin, a cat-like animal that can devour large objects with its tentacles, cough up the Tesseract which he swallows during the film. Look, this is more of a gag than anything super important, and it's not really anything that needs much explaining, but this connection to the Tesseract does help reinforce just how the Tesseract came into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody prior to the events of the Avengers. Though we kind of already assumed that it had been in their possession since the 1940s, it really does just seem like a little bit of superfluous retconning that has been done to aid the story of Captain Marvel, but I don't really have a big problem with that. And at that, we come to the end of another video. What did you guys think of these post-credit scenes and the ending of Captain Marvel, and how do you think Carol Danvers is going to integrate with the Avengers in Endgame, and how she's going to assist them in their plight? Fire away in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos, you like what you've seen, you'd like to see more like this in the future, then please don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen right now, and also hit that like button down below if you're feeling extra generous. Also, don't forget to check out my many social media accounts, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.